Welcome to Good Vibes Lifestyle live stream. This is Leslie Klein. Hello and happy birthday, America. Today is the 4th of July, and so excited to be here. So excited because not only do I have, it's America's birthday and we're celebrating freedom today, but I have a special guest that I'm so excited to share with you. So check it out. It is the 4th of July, and I'm so excited. And because, United States, our country is so special. And I know everybody thinks that their country is special, but we were created based on ideals that are very high reaching. And, just because we have high reaching goals doesn't mean we, achieve them. And this is really an experiment in democracy, an experiment in how we as a group can create a place where people can live to their highest potential. And this is the promise of America. And this is what I'm so excited about. My father came from Peru. He immigrated here, came to New York City, became a citizen, and has been very, very proud. He's passed on now, and so is my mother. She was from Puerto Rico. But my father had such a passion for the United States and believed in the American dream. And when you're coming from another country, I think you really appreciate the opportunity that this land has for us. And this is what we're celebrating today. So, for our freedoms and the freedoms to express ourselves, the freedoms to be spiritually, practice our spiritual truth, to practice whatever religion or spirituality that we are, connected to, no matter what, no matter what religion. And we're supposed to be this country of many, many, different people and cultures and a blending of all of this, which is what our country is all about. Now, a lot of things, have happened, and we got a lot of challenges. So my only recommendation is that you make sure you're registered to vote and vote this fall because this is going to be a very important election. So, again, this show is a live stream that I do every week. And it's different than the Good Vibes TV show that it's on YouTube. That's more of a formal show where I interview different experts, enlightened experts. Um, and share different ways we can raise our vibration. I'm all about the good vibes lifestyle, hashtag good vibes lifestyle. And, I'm really wanting to start a movement. And this movement, has been kind of started back in 2020 when the idea came to me to have a show, a YouTube show, and it's evolved over time. And then I started doing this weekly live stream, which becomes then a podcast that's on my YouTube channel. So, and the new thing that's happening this year is that on October 30th, it's National Good Vibes Day. And so I am going to host a summit with speakers talking about good vibes all day long, and then a special meditation that day. So check out nationalgoodvibesday.com and check your schedule, or mark your calendar for October 30th. And if you want to sign up for that summit, I've got a tiny URL here on the screen, and it'll be in the description as well. Um, so that you can be part of it. So it's in progress. It's the first summit that I'm doing, but the National Good Vibes Day has been around for a while. So at least since 2015. So I'm like, oh, cool. National Good Vibes Day. How perfect. So we're going to host a summit, and I'm very excited about that. All right. So as you may know or not know, if depending on whether or not you watch the show, I love to talk about the astrology, and we've got some great astrology, happening. The big news is that tomorrow, on July 5th, is the new moon in the sign of Cancer, and it happens at 6:58 p.m. Eastern Time. So the new moon is great, and the reason I love to follow the astrology and the energies of the cosmos, because it does apply to us, it does affect us, and if you're aware of what those energies are, you're able to adapt and co-create with those energies. So the new moon is a time of new beginnings. This is a time to plant new seeds to kind of recreate yourself. And, what a great time to do this. Now, the sign of Cancer, Cancer is a water sign. So, this new moon, whether it's a new moon or a full moon, it's going to be very watery. It's going to be very emotional. Normally, this is the energy. The Cancer is very emotional. And I can tell, and you usually can feel the energy of a new or full moon 2 to 3 days before and after. And I know for me, I've been feeling those emotions kind of coming up, the tears or just the emotion, and then not even knowing where is this coming from. And then I realize or remember that, hey, the new moon in Cancer is coming up, and just like the energy of the full moon tugs on the earth's tides, so does the new moon. So both of those times are critical times that impact us because we are like 70% plus, bodies of water. And the element of water is very unique because it forms to whatever container it's in, whether it's a bowl, whether it's a bathtub, whether it's an ocean. But it's, and if it's nothing, I mean, then it's a puddle, right? So, we are containers, hold all of this water. So we are impacted, and water has intelligence, as Dr. Um, uh, Masaru Emoto talks about in his books. So, water is the big news. And of course, we're having this hurricane happening. And whenever I notice that whenever there's a hurricane, and if there's a full moon or a new moon and it's in a water sign, usually it's a big, big storm. So, that's just one thing that I've noticed. What else about the Cancer? New moon. Okay, so Cancer has to do with the emotions, but it's also about nurturing ourselves, nurturing others. Cancer has to do with the home. It has to do with maternal love. It has to do with mothers, grandmothers, the mother nurturing element or energy. And the planet that is rain or the planet that goes with the sign of Cancer is the moon. So we have all this moon energy, all this water and emotional energy. Also, the crab, which is the symbol of the Cancer sign, is hard on the outside but soft on the inside. So this is another quality of the Cancer energy. So this is a great time. New moon, like right before the new moon, like, is the dark of the moon, which is kind of the time to really release and get rid of anything that doesn't serve you anymore and get ready for the new cycle. Once the new moon starts at 6:58 p.m. Eastern time, that's the time to, like, if you're going to do a ritual or a certain focused energy project or something, you want to do it at that time or after, because before that is the void or dark of moon. So that's what's going on with the sign of Cancer, and of course we've got the 4th of July in the United States, and it's our birthday, and things are very emotional, very turbulent. When it comes to politics and things like that, and what's happening with our country. But I am a firm believer in that our government is by the people, for the people, and of the people. So we need to take back our power and, make this country as, match the ideals, strive for the ideals that it was based on. So, um, later this month, we're coming up on the full moon in Capricorn on July 21st. So I always like to note on my calendar when is the new moon, when is the full moon, because from the new moon to the full moon, it's when you plant your seeds and you're nurturing and you're growing. And the culmination happens around the full moon. And then it's the waning moon when you're winding down, you're harvesting, you're regrouping, integrating all that you've learned from the beginning of the cycle, and then getting ready to start the next cycle. So every month we have this wonderful new beginning. And it's just really great to, when you're aware of these cycles, you could work with these energies and you're in the flow of nature. So that is what I love about astrology, and I wanted to share with you. Now, I did share that I have a special guest today, and I'm so excited because this is an old friend from when I had my bookstore and cafe in Palm Harbor, Florida. My guest today is Elasa Tiernan. She is a soul guide and the co creator with her mother, Kay Schrems, of the R3 Miracle Center in Palm Harbor, Florida. She offers soul work education and sessions along with quantum healing technologies. So I want to bring up to the stage and welcome my dear friend, Ilasa Tiernan. Ilasa, so great to see you.
So
Welcome.
great to see you, Leslie. Glad to be here.
Ilasa, I know you that you had the Bliss Center for a while, and then now you have this new R3 Miracle Center. Can you tell me what happened with the Bliss Center and then why, this new transition? Um,
So
what's
we're in
going
downtown Palm Harbor, and we originally had this building 9 years ago as Bliss Empowerment Center, and then we also had several shifts and different names. It ended up probably at the final longest stage was Solterra, if you remember that. And then once COVID came, we actually closed down and went off to the side and did some work at a geodesic dome in Crystal Beach. And once that was complete, we published a bunch of books. And then we were like, meaning the collective that I am, was like, we're ready to get back out. Can we go ahead? Can I go ahead and open up a center? And thankfully, Kay, my mother, was open to explore reopening. And we actually really wanted a bigger space and a different space. And the universe had a different agenda, that we were to come back here at this portal and take back the helm and, start it here again. So we started fresh with our name and added on some additional technologies we're going to talk about. So we are now at R3 Miracles, which is restore, rejuvenate, and realize. And when we do those
on?
things, we have miracles happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, I was looking at the website and the three R's. So, the three R's in R3 Miracles stand for restore,
Restore, rejuvenate, and realize, meaning self realize.
realize.
Self realization is the key, which we're going to talk
Okay.
about how important, we understand self for different shifts in our physical health, our emotional, and so on, mental, spiritual. Because we can use these extra technologies that we have here, but if you don't understand, typically it's going to take you some time to make that leap, that quantum jump. And so it's really important that we do our soul work and we come to a greater understanding of why we created something in our life, or why it's happened ancestrally, what's going on socially, conditions that are set upon us. And even though it can seem like it's so physical in your life, everything really begins at these higher frequencies of emotional, mental, and spiritual to get to the physical, illnesses. It really took a lot of time for you to have some thought programs, some emotions repressed, that gets us to these physical ailments. And so once we realize, we actually can, restore the body, the energy currents will come back through those meridian channels. And we see quantum jumps and people literally allowing themselves to come back into wholeness and wellness. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
powerful.
Now, now I have a video of your center. So, I'm going to add that to the screen here and let me just get it started. And I wanted you to like kind of give us a little
Yeah.
um, tour of it.
So
So, this
here's
is
our
the center here.
existing, yeah, 1017 Illinois. If you've been here before, it turned into a White House, and it's got the yellow brick road with some magic paint that we have on that walkway. And then when we come inside, we also painted the walls with selenite, 24 karat gold, limestone, and some other ingredients to help literally make the building feel like you're walking on the beach. That negative ion wind coming off the walls, and we sell that paint. We actually downloaded it from Creator Consciousness, Christ Consciousness, and we got very specific instructions that it needed to be done so. And this is the Theraphi room. You see on the right, there's a box. We kind of quickly went through, but there's some plasma tubes you lay on the table. These are our zero gravity chairs that we
Here, I'll
do.
rewind it a little bit
Yeah,
to the,
we can. Oh,
there we go.
right in there, we've got the plasma tubes. I'm actually sitting in the room right now, and those tubes are on, and that generates the photon light that's spinning at 5 ratios, so it's available light, and your body takes it up quickly, and you feel it. You feel euphoria come over you. Um, and then those zero gravity chairs, we actually have tonight, the first Thursday of the month, a sound journey. And there's, you see the crystal bowls. I get on the mic and play sound and do a guided journey for people in those zero gravity chairs, which are powerful on themselves. When you lay back in zero gravity, you really do, release all pressure off the spine, and you go to 0 point. And in 0 point is where we actually also can do quantum jumping and, allow ourselves to get into the heart for allowing ourselves to come back into love. And when we are in love, that's again when we also allow for quick jumps to jump into a higher wholeness reality. And then in our storeroom that I'm kind of showing you here on the video, we've got some different tools that we've found in addition that people can, purchase or even try on in the center. These are some DNA drops. That was a, a light mask of different frequency light coming into the face. These are DNA drops straight from the DNA of the food, of the best food all over the world. Um, Different kind of supplements that are tailored to your DNA. We found so many cool things. As we were reopening the center, I got these are some tensor rings for helping your garden grow, that copper twist, a Fibonacci twist. These are some of the 140 books that I published, and then some books that I've helped other publish, including my mom, Kay Shrim's book. You can find all of those on Amazon. And I also have a strong feeling to allow those who have books they want to publish to either show you how to do it, or I've guided about 7 people so far to do it, because I feel everybody has a book in them.
Yes. That's
Everybody's got a
cool.
story to tell.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And we're just, that if you've heard of the putting copper in your garden, it helps it grow
Uh-huh.
quickly at larger yields, less water, etc. There's some tachyon products we have, which you're going to talk, I think we're going to talk about some more, but there's different
Yeah.
words that are kind of essentially describing very similar technologies.
Mm-hmm.
We've got bigger tensor rings. If we just kind of fanned over one in the right there, the tensor rings are powerful, creating a tensor field of perfected eternal column of light that you sit in the big
Mm.
columns. There's magnet therapy.
Yeah.
I highly suggest people learn about magnets. It's saved our household from having to be ill for weeks, and you can get rid of things in 10 minutes. Any
Wow.
pathogen known to man, it will wipe it out quickly, even the C word of every kind of C that I could say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so there's so much, and that was an older video. We've probably got a ton of other things in there.
Okay. I don't remember how far the video
It's probably
goes,
about to complete.
the end of it. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, yeah, I love that. Excuse me. So I had the privilege and honor of trying your plasma bed, and we were able to do this distance because in the quantum field there is no time or space, right? So
right.
talk about how this idea of quantum healing and long distance healing works.
So ultimately, we are the best technology that exists. Our body, the way we can sit and go within and slow our breath down and meditate. Ultimately, which in one of my books, Quantum Interstellar Medbed and Starship Aura, we realize that the aura is so powerful that we're emitting, and that it literally can travel beyond space and time. And even we realize that everything is non-local. We thought it was very distance oriented, but we're learning in the latest Nobel Prize that there really isn't what we think as far as distance. But I'm not going to go there. So coming back, when we're in our own body, we have all these capabilities of doing quantum healing on ourselves, meaning jumping from a very finite point of focus. Let's say we're focusing on bliss or wholeness or wellness or whatever your intention is, and expanding that finite particle infinitely. So jumping into a higher probability is really important, as well as clearing finite points of consciousness where You need to find out why something's going on in your life, why you have an ailment or a pattern. And when you find that out, that finite point of who, what, when, where, why, which is the Akash, the ether, all the information held in the ether. Akash means ether or sky. And all that information of who, what, when, where, why can be found in this space, in this ether. And when you find that out of like, where's the beginning point of why your, pancreas is acting up? And it could be this lifetime, it could be ancestral, it could be another timeline. And once you find that out, it again, that clearing of that finite quanta, that small spark, with the understanding will allow you to get that energy moving again and jump into a higher probability or a higher potential for yourself of whatever you're going to focus on after that realization, like that your pancreas works wonderful. So, like I said, I've always been teaching through the years of doing this lifetime of helping people understand wellness at a very soul level, just using the aura and using our ability to think and tap into inner communication, who, what, when, where, why. Well, before we reopened after COVID, I heard in my meditation that to add in these technologies that Nikola Tesla would have been sharing on vibration and energy. And so I went on a hunt and immediately found several technologies, several that we have here now, some that we couldn't get here for whatever reason. And they were scalar technologies, longitudinal wave technologies, tachyon technologies, tensor field technologies. And those are all a little different, but yet some of them overlap. Um, and it's just different scientists calling different, kind of similar things the same name or different names, excuse me. So ultimately, what you're looking at when you're looking at, like, let's say the plasma bed, the Theraphi plasma med bed, you're looking at a longitudinal wave technology of like perfected array of energy from tube to tube. That's noble gases that are spinning at phi ratio, creating an array of plasma light, and it's spinning at the appropriate 1.618 phi ratio in equal and opposite directions so that it's phase conjugate and so that you are able to take it in exactly the light that's coming at you. You can take it right in. It's not going to bounce off you at an angle like a typical mirror in your house does. It's available. It comes right into the body. And so your DNA, your cells, like our battery packs, and they literally charge up with light. And that also gets any kind of meridians, because you're in this perfected array, longitudinal array. I'll explain longitudinal a little bit more in a second, but because you're in that perfected array of light, any meridian channels that might have been kinked, I find people at a distance and on the bed will say, "Oh, I felt a little pinch," and then it's like all of a sudden it opened in that area. So anywhere there was a kink in the field, it literally gets that 1.618 phi ratio moving through the body and gets the meridians open and all the other things open beyond that and more gross matter. So, people maybe have a cry sometimes on it. Some people have a laugh. Some people have euphoria right away. But eventually it'll lead to this euphoric kind of blissful feeling when you're on it a longer. I find when I get to like a 20-minute mark, I'm like, ooh, you're feeling really creative, happy energy. And I usually have to hop off and go do a project because I'm so inspired.
Yes, here's a
Yeah.
picture of doing it distance. When you do it distance, you asked me for a picture in my intention. So you actually put that on the bed between the two lights. And I was in my bed in Murphy, North Carolina, laying down and at the same time. And it was incredible. The energy, it just felt so peaceful and blissful, I guess is the right word. And the rest of the day, I think I didn't ground myself enough because I felt like I was, um, like, I guess kind of just blissed out,
Yeah.
kind of like in this bliss energy, but it was cool. So, um, thank you for letting me experience that. And the intention I had
Yeah.
this car accident a couple of months ago in April, and so my shoulder's been hurting me because I had the my arm in a cast, so it wasn't able to move, and my shoulder's been doing all this stuff. So that was my intention, and the next day in the morning, the pain was a lot less, and then as the day went on, the next day, pain gone. So
See?
amazing that it works
Yeah.
because, I'm familiar with Reiki. I'm a Reiki master as well. I do Reiki more on myself, and projects and things, and send Reiki to people. And I know how distance healing works. It's the intention of sending that energy, just like prayer or sending someone good vibes. Every thoughts are things are energy. Our intention, is real. And I love it how, and I wish Tesla wasn't suppressed like he was, because we could have had these technologies so much earlier. And it was just a very cool experience. But you actually offer a complimentary session for people, 15 minutes, where they can actually go on the bed. If you're in the Palm Harbor area or Tampa Bay, they can come to your center and actually experience that plasma med bed, right?
Yes. And at a distance, like for you, wherever you
Or
are.
distance.
Yep.
Okay.
Someone could try the 15 minutes. We want to make sure everybody, because not a lot of people even know what it is. And it's powerful to be able to give this experience. And some people, it may only take one session. You just never know. It's really up to the being and what you're dealing with, what you're willing to also allow to move and open up. And I find that people have really clear intentions, have similar experiences.
Mhm.
And that distance healing, we know that with distance Reiki, prayer, all of this at a distance, we are able to facilitate beyond location, non-location, a healing assistance for somebody else. But with this technology, the fact that it's a longitudinal wave, meaning it's different than a transverse wave, is like this. It just,
Okay.
me talking, you know, this is like a very simple movement, whereas a longitudinal wave is tons of transverse and it's like a tsunami. So it moves across the plane of existence and it moves along all the nodal points, along the magnetic lines, and along the magnetic grid. So the array that we are pumping in this room and other centers like ours literally taps into the natural healing field across the plane of existence along the magnetic ley lines and at those
Mhm.
nodal points. So it literally it's massive of an additional assistance beyond prayer, etc., to add on this light coming forth through your holographic image. The photo that you put on the bed, that image is connected to you. This is why, like, our photos being everywhere, we can just put a positive intention out there that they're receiving love and light wherever they are. But when we really do put a photo on here, especially a recent photo, we recommend somebody send us, and their clear intention, it's a really amazing experience to watch similar testimonials like yours.
Well, you said you have the bed, the plasma lights on now.
Yeah.
So that's in your field in the camera right now. So does that mean that's being transmitted through the camera? So everyone who's watching your
Yes.
picture right now in that room are picking up that light?
And I would say, yes, absolutely. And I would say if anybody has, something that they're working on and they want to put it in the comments right now, to go ahead and put a clear intention and to take a deep breath, visualize, anything that you need to know about. It's a visual or hear, auditory that you need to know about so that you have greater understanding. And then to allow, I love to put my hands on my thymus and to allow yourself to have that intention actualized right now. That, yeah, this indeed is a healing session that we're having by having it on for sure.
And
So we
then the
welcome.
the wall behind you, it has the
Mhm.
paint, the special
Yes.
paint with the
Yeah.
selenite and the other ingredients.
Yeah. So that's,
That's
and that can, we sell that on the website. I make up packets, and you can just take the additive that we create and put it in your own gallon of paint to create your own healing sanctuary. I highly recommend it for your bedroom. um, yeah, it's pleasure. It's a pleasurable experience to feel it. I also, because it is crystal, I remind people that crystal is programmable, just like water, and so, like, I'll sometimes be guided to come put my hands on the walls and just give a little extra intention of, facilitating additional healings and wholeness for people when they come in here.
Now,
Yeah.
does that what about EMFs? Does it, protect against, like, EMFs from Wi-Fi or,
You can
the
program that.
power?
You can
Okay.
program that, but I am making a different additive for that that will have a different crystal in it, but not necessarily just on its own unless you add in a program. And so even on our the bag, it comes in a gold bag. I remind people, make sure you put your intentions on what you want the paint additive to do for you before you actually put it in your gallon of paint.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
but we
cool.
have other
So
technology. Yeah, go ahead.
when you program the paint, do you and you put it on the wall,
Mhm.
do you need to reprogram it every now and then, or is it a one and done kinda thing? Or it just kinda
I
depends?
feel like it's up to the being, whatever you believe. But I do check in here and there. Do I need to redo it, or I'll get a nudge that I need to, I'll be in meditation and be shown the walls. Um, so definitely tune in and check in on your walls every so often, and that goes without saying for space clearing at large. Definitely check in on your space all the time, once a month, especially at a new moon.
Okay.
Yeah.
You prefer it more at the new moon than the full moon time, or both?
Either,
It's
yeah,
different
both. But
effects.
significant moments, I feel like if you really just do a check in, like I'm definitely being guided tonight and today before I got on here to do a big space clearing. And I just feel it's so powerful when we put this extra and ritual and intention into our life. It can make all the difference in our health and well being for sure. And another technology, as far as like EMF protection, that I do love that we have here is the tensor field technology. And the tensor rings, can you grab a tensor ring? The tensor ring is a little one, it's two copper wires. And you take the copper wire. We actually just had a workshop here to create them, and we'll do another one soon. But you cut the copper wire to sacred measure, cubit. So the way that the pyramids are made, they're all measured in cubits. And so that cubit length is a way to access the higher upper world, and get connected to like your higher self, to the causal realm, etc. And so when you cut the copper to sacred measure and then you fold it upon itself, because copper runs electricity, when if you had two wires, one electricity is going one way, one's going the other. Well, when you fold that wire, so it's doing that equal and opposite movement of EMF, which is the definition of scalar, and then you twist it with a drill, and then you solder it together with some silver solder. You've got an infinite movement in both directions of electricity. When you do that, it creates a column of light, an infinite column of light. So when I put this over my heart energy center, sometimes I wear it on my top knot, or I'll put it on a necklace or any of the energy centers. It immediately restructures all the water in the body, the blood, and it gets it clear. It'll So you can use it for structuring water, but I love it for healing modality because it will clear wherever you put it. So if you had shoulder pain or anything, it'll go ahead and reorganize that area very quickly. And we have big
So it's
rings
like a
around.
column of light that
Yeah,
goes through.
here's
Okay.
a column
Wow.
right here.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
big rings we have, I have one in front of my bed. So I'm laying in a column of white light, heavenly light, wholeness light, perfected light. We have them around our zero gravity chairs so that when people sit in them, they usually fall asleep pretty fast. Um, but you're able to literally restructure again that large amount of water in the body quickly. And energetically wise, if you put it over the energy centers, it reorganizes that energy center quickly.
Oh, that's cool.
But
So
EMF
you
wise, it will
yeah?
block EMF. So you could put one. We have some size that'll go around your computer, on your desk, or you could put it around your chair where you sit at, and it keeps you protected from EMF. You could wear it; it'll keep you protected from EMF. Yeah,
Oh, wow. So those are you said you had a
harmful
workshop where
EMF.
people made their own?
Yeah, we
But
just
you
had a workshop. This one was made in the storeroom. Yeah.
but if I couldn't attend the workshop, but I wanted to get one, do you have them available for sale on your website?
Yes, we have all
Okay.
sizes on the website. Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
This is a
You were asking.
bracelet. Yeah. Could be used
Oh,
as a
yeah.
bracelet. You could, but they
Yep.
recommend you do both sides if you're going to do that so you're balanced. And then I love to wear this one on a necklace or, like I said, on my
Yeah.
head. If I'm going out in public and I'm a little sensitive that day, I just feel amazing. So,
Oh, that's cool. I want one of those. Now, you were saying earlier about if anyone who's watching wanted to put their intent on there, and I do have a comment. This is from Bridget, and she says she wants focus and clarity for finding coherence business for the highest and best good of all.
and so it is.
So, so it
Yeah.
is. So,
That's perfect.
by putting that intention out there, um, and now this will be a replay, the show. So, what if somebody was watching this and they had an intention? Is there a way that they could kind of add it to the show, or how would that work?
Absolutely. Because we're beyond space and time, and this is infinitely playing when they watch it, and that field is infinitely being produced. So, which is wonderful about, getting back into our eternal soul consciousness, which is maybe something next we could talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to
So,
talk about that now?
yeah, just, when we're given our keys back to the kingdom, when we understand why we're here, like why we came here, you know,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily always just about what's going on in this lifetime. It's about also what's going on beyond the life. And this is what I've also been teaching for 30 years, the ascension and understanding how to ascend up your spine so that again you get full avatar ability back of your aura. All your clairs come back online, all your seemingly superpowers come back online. They're natural. And when we have this awakening of the full avatar, your full, soul can, the soul you are can fully in soul and get back in the body. And that's that getting into the body, which is important about grounding, putting your bare feet on the earth so that you're streaming your soul's essence down through the whole body. When you get back in, you have full capability again beyond this life and beyond dimensions, and you're able to remember again at a very deep level why you came here. And a lot of us came here to remember to be loved, first and foremost, in every now moment, to be of service, and to help where we can, and to definitely make a better world for sure. And that better world, speaking of this Independence Day celebration, that better world is you remembering why you came here and what are you meant, what's your dharma, what's your path, what's your purpose, what are you here to do better. And no matter where you're coming at politically, what stage of the game you're at, because I've definitely gone in many different realms of understanding politics at a very high level, equity law and ecclesiastical law, which is God's law, and it's beyond what's being practiced in the mainstream. And so when you understand the different levels of law, from maritime to common to ecclesiastical, you step up your ladder also as an eternal soul, and you come back into this greater awareness of, again, why did you come here? And what are you here to facilitate in bettering not only, again, this lifetime of however many years we're here, but the eternal life. And
Mhm.
you're literally like checked off of making sure you balance your opposites. Not, it's stepping into a higher point of view of being a witness and holding space and holding compassion while people are figuring out their checks and balances here and doing things right. Whatever that right thing is for somebody is real personal. So it's that eternal soul consciousness is what I'm really after. And that's why when people do the inner communication of finding out, whether they use these technologies or not, when they can just sit and meditate and first find out, like, why am I here? Yes, number one. But number two, like, why is this pattern happening? What do I need to understand about X, Y, and Z so that they're trying to shift for themselves or for the world or the family, etc. They all the tools, all those keys are inside, and with a very simple set of questions that I've already said: who, what, when, where, why. Where did this begin, and what do I need to know about it so I can come to peace and allow for this new world? And I feel like all of us are here to bring about the new world, and that new world will be personal to what I'm projecting from a sum total of my beliefs and my point of views or non-point of views, getting more into a witness and holding compassion so that I can really allow for what is meant to be of the new earth, of what's to come. So eternal soul is us all awakening to, like I said, being love, finding how do you fit into the tapestry of your community, your neighborhood. What are you here to do next?
Mhm. Very cool. Um, my mind's going in so many different directions. But I do want you because I'm still grasping the concept of ascension, this idea of ascension from 3D to 5D. I'm not super well. I'm not an expert in it yet, but I've talked about it a little bit on the show and Good Vibes TV. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about ascension, what it is, and this whole idea of going from 3D to 5D, what that means, and just whatever you'd
Yeah.
like to share about that.
So, there's so many dimensions, but like when we simplify it so that we can just kind of get to a very nice talk right now about it in simple terms, the 3D to the 5D, like moving from the old world of 3D. When we're looking at the dimensions up our central channel, the 3D would be projected from your ego or your personality, the third energy doorway of the solar plexus. And that's a very dualistic way of being. It's also consumed, it's very focused on consumption, on the first three energy centers of sexuality, your emotions, what you're consuming, power struggles. These dualistic ways of being in the 3D world has been where we've been for a while. And that, again, is basing on your personality, on a very mental, heady kind of way of being and interacting with our world. It's also very focused on the past and on the future. And, that can keep people out of the now. So when people start to shift from realizing that that they're not just a name, a number, a personality, and they start to realize, like I said, the eternal soul, like who they've been, why they came here again, what they are here to accomplish. When if you've had a near death experience, which I've had too, you actually see the other side, and you understand, this isn't it. This isn't the only thing to be looking forward to this life. There's an amazing space in the higher plane. And I feel that a lot of us who are embracing the eternal soul that they are and stepping out of the name and number and into the eternal code, they then land back in their heart space. So they start to enter 4D and then into 5D of the throat, to be able to facilitate and be a very clear advocate of love. And the advocate of love is, where we're heading, that 5D. And the lover that we are, the true, love being that we are, is very authentic. We, will speak truth in a moment. And sometimes we will just hold a witness pose because, again, we're going to hold space while there's many of our brothers and sisters who are not maybe there yet. And they're still what weeble wobbling in the 3D and still kind of doing their checks and balances of opposites, meaning they're here to learn a lesson about like the choice they're about to make. Is that really the choice that they want for the eternal book that's held in the Akash, or do they want to make a new choice of love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness? And each time we meet these markers of our reason of being here, we actually, it's like a little checkpoint. We graduate from that topic, and we are then, more of our essence starts to move, our soul essence starts to move from being very dominant of a center of gravity in your lower body to you literally start to have an ensoulment, and your center of gravity becomes the heart space and your toroidal field becomes more whole. There's really not a lot of room for illness in that ensoulment. And if you are still dealing with a kink in the matrix of your soul, finding its full embodiment, then deal with it. Like look it in the eye, don't skirt around it, find out who, what, when, where, why, and you'll have more quantum jumps and more quickening of your healings and your wholeness come back into alignment. And that truly is the 5D. We're going to see so many people on the planet having rapid, instant healings as they make that one choice of love, make that one choice of being authentic in the face of fear. It just, we're at the point of the great awakening where we many mass amount of people will have spontaneous, if not, they've been working on it through for years. There's been a lot of people I know that have worked on it for years, not only for themselves, but for the monad and for the larger groups that they're working with. They don't realize that they've actually been channeling information for many other people and their community and their families. But that 5D is when all those checkpoints start to be hit off and you balance yourself back to love and back to now. You're very present, you go with the flow. You'll find that maybe someone in your life that you feel like they really are in 5D. They think positively, they're always loving, they're always compassionate, they seem to have solutions, up their sleeve, or they're willing to hold space for that pretty quickly, or um, you may be that being. And I find for myself, I'm here with you. I there's none of us here that are not supposed to be here. And if you are finding yourself here in this body, on this earth, and this now, then you can slow down. Number one, there's no wrong turn. You don't have to rush. And the more we slow down, we're going to find ourselves really being able to embrace the new earth, and the new earth of being in the 5D, the higher realm of authenticity. Yeah.
Awesome. That clears some things up for me. Also, talk about ascension symptoms because
Yeah.
I have a dear friend that she was feeling these weird feelings in her body and tingling and things like that. And she got kind of scared. She didn't know what it was. And I said, well, maybe it's some ascension symptoms.
For
So
sure.
can you, and
Yep.
I was watching another video that talked about how we're kind of like we go from 3D to 5D, like we're popping in and out until we fully are in the 5D, and
Yeah.
I guess maybe there's some physical symptoms with that. So
Yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
that.
So the symptoms that you're maybe going to have, are ringing in the ears when your energy starts to rise up your central channel. If there's any imbalance in, the the inner sinuses, etc., you might have that ringing come on. You may have a nausea that you never experienced. You may have sweats when people are thinking negative thoughts around you, or you happen to think a worrisome thought. You'll get a sweat. That's literally transfiguration happening at each energy center, where the thought is happening and where the endocrine glands are firing. Um, you could have like a off balance feeling, vertigo. Again, it's like these energy centers are trying to get the wheels on turning, but also to stabilize the spin so that they facilitate a star point. You actually become a walking constellation and then evolve back into the star that you are. And so the energy centers are actual, um, the physical manifestation of your energy centers, your chakras, are your endocrine glands. So as you're getting your Taurus, the energy moving up the central channel, what's happening is you are either moving it up or down. It's happening in both directions all the time, but you're getting ensouled, like I said. So it's very important that people ground their feet and get barefoot on the earth again and utilize the magnetic grid of the earth to pull your soul back into your body. And if you find yourself inside all the time, the reason we've added these tools to our center is because we're trying to assist people to make their home a sanctuary and a healing sanctuary so that they can almost reverse engineer, like the outside come inside. So really, if we all lived outside in yurts and, we're barefoot eating from the garden, um, you'd find a quickening of your ascension in a more balanced state, less ascension symptoms, unless there's just a lot of energy that you're moving through, kinks and mental programs, emotional, stuffing that you've done through the years just because you've been a people pleaser, or you're just trying to keep the peace. I know I'm one of those. And, once it's time to rip roar through that energy center, it may, create one of those symptoms I said, as well as phantom pains in the body and phantom diseases, where there's not really, you'll go to a doctor and they're like, they don't want to tell you because nothing's showing up, but you indeed feel something. And so that, again, in your energy bodies, which is your energy centers, spiral out and create each layer of your subtle body, of your aura collective. And so if you're starting to move through a packet of your aura, like you're starting to speak your truth, well, your fifth subtle body's, pretty far off your body. And so you may have a phantom pain like way out here. You just can't explain it. And that can, just to show you, like, you don't really know exactly what's happening because it's not what the typical MD may have to be able to show you. And yeah, just it's a my suggestion again is it's going to come back to what I just said as far as learn to intercommunicate. One of the things that we give out as a tool here, even if someone just walks in for 10 minutes, we try to make sure they know how to muscle test with their body. So, body sway muscle testing, which is just communicating to your consciousness, saying, my consciousness, show me a yes, and your body will go forward for a yes. I'm exaggerating right now. It'll be very subtle. My consciousness, show me a no. Typically it'll go backwards unless you're reversed, and we can, clear that. And then my consciousness, show me a maybe, and typically it'll go, your body will pull to a side. And that way, when you're going through whatever you're going through every day, because we all go through things all the time, so we need to be able to be our own inner, guide. And when you have, let's say you have ascension symptom happening, you can start asking questions to your consciousness. And if you don't like that word and you're speaking more to your higher self lately, or your body, you can try talking, to addressing your consciousness at a different aspect word that is more aligned to what you've been talking to yourself about, or what you're open to talking to. And then that way you're getting answers, like, what is this? I'm having, this pain, my consciousness, is this connected to now? No. Is this connected to a past? Yes. Is there an age? No. A past life? Yes. And you just keep whittling out yes and no questions, meaning make sure you're asking the question so you can get a yes or no. Don't put an or in there. And then once you get enough information, you can say, my consciousness, am I complete? Yes. With the information you get, maybe one detail, it may be 30. You then say, my consciousness, clear me now, and your body will rock. And once it stops rocking, it may sway and do a little bit of random movements. Then the meridian will clear. Then the energy body, the streams of energy that are going through the physical body called the torus, it will move that energy along, and you can have a quickening, as well as understand and know what's going on, which, God, if you don't know what's going on, you're like, help me.
Scared. Yeah. So
Yeah.
something like the plasma bed, uh, would that help
Yeah.
someone if they were having ascension symptoms to clear that out, or remove
Quickly.
them or prevent them even?
Yes, quickly. Because it's doing the same movement that your Taurus does, perfected. So it's your Taurus, you know what a Taurus is, the donut
Yes.
movement,
Yep.
right? So that donut, your soul, which is soul essence, photon light particles, is spinning right here and coming down your central channel. Well, that spinning, if you're confused or there's a kink in your field, meaning, whatever those congested emotions or thoughts, etc., of yourself or others, remember this, family,
Mhm.
neighbors, sometimes they're picking up on other things, not just your own. But if it can't, come and do that nice spin when you lay on the plasma med bed, you're gonna get in that array, and it's just gonna go ahead and sort things out for you quickly. So that's what's really powerful, and why people have such profound, quick shifts on it, is because, it's gonna sort through real quickly. And I find people who do have like brain fog, or it's very in that kind of mental state, they just can come lay on it for a few minutes and they just feel so much better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, the other thing that you had me do is work with, you have this Akashic Soul Pro app,
Hmm.
and I have a little picture of it here too.
Yeah.
So talk about that. I had never had a Akashic record reading, so I'm not super familiar. I understand that Akash is the ether. It's kind of like the quantum field where all of the
Hmm.
records are, all of the information is. So can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Your app?
So that's you can put it on your phone or your iPad, and it's got a quick button that you could just push it, and it'll give you a quick reading of 23 lenses of reality of what's happening. And like this one I just picked for us, and so the lead consciousness is the one. So there's different aspects of consciousness on here. Who's connected, the group, who's watching, The when is 61 to 70. I'll talk about that in a minute. What is enthusiasm? The energy body's divine father, masculine, is clearing. The ear, kidney, want, new earth. And I'll stop there just to give you a little demo. But just with those details right away gives me a lot of information. If it if you out there it doesn't really make sense to you, my biggest request is, you'll read through it, you push the automatic button, you can type in your intention. My intention was just for us to see something like right now and get a download. But let's say you're working on your pancreas or whatnot, you could type in, I'm so grateful my pancreas is back to wholeness and wellness. I do suggest you write your intentions in wholeness and wellness speak. And then the who, what, when, where, why. Obviously, 23 charts is more than five, but it's different types of who's, different types of what's, etc. It even has astrology on here, what planet might be involved, etc., what star system might be involved. And whatever makes sense to you, then just, take a moment, you close your eyes. If Divine Father made sense to you, ear made sense to you because your ear started ringing, kidney usually is holding a lot of repressed fear. Divine masculine, maybe as a group we're all yearning for divine masculine, the right direction in our life, like true higher direction to come through for a better earth, right? New earth is on here. And so let me see if there was one. Oh, the one. So like we're all communicating together as a group to unify in the unified field in the heart, and to really come to know what is the one, the greater one that we are collectively. What does it want for us in divine masculine terms and for the new earth? So, whatever details really make sense to you, that's all you need. So, if they all make sense, awesome. If only one does, cool. If none do, then again, still close your eyes and ask, like, please, my consciousness, my higher self, if you're working with a guide, Jesus, show me how this is connected to my pancreas. Then when you get that understanding, your understanding is key, because once you understand something about whatever you're seeking for your wholeness, that in the Akash, that photon light particle that was like a plasmoid, it was bound up information. Once you understand it, and it was literally holding a kink around your outside your ear that was keeping you off balance. Once you understand, it literally unbinds itself and comes back and streams back in through your toroidal field. It will not move until you understand. And it's seen on cameras now. And so that's the key. You're here to know thyself. And once you understand, you're going to start having a quickening and healing. And when you rise to the 5D and these higher dimensionalities, there is no illness. There's only wholeness. There's only getting along. Yeah.
That's cool. That's yeah. I'm again newer information for me and trying to understand the whole concept of the new Earth and being part of that and co-creating this new world for us.
Yeah.
That is in it's all focused on love. The higher vibrations are where what I'm calling the good
Good vibe.
vibes lifestyle is kind of like 5D living, right?
Yeah. For
Because if
sure.
you're living in those emotions of the higher vibrations of love and joy and peace, enlightenment, that's 5D, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And authenticity. Higher than love is us being authentic, and is when we are authentic, also in the field it's shown on camera, that is when you're authentic, you literally will, that plasma will come home again. When you're not and you're in front of somebody, it's best, in my point of view, that you just hold a witness. If you don't, you can't figure out what to say or how to respond, rather than to say something that you really don't mean. Because when you're not authentic, you literally bleed charge. Your aura opens and pain can set in. And so it's about us really becoming true and honest with ourselves. Like if we're feeling pain or we went through something, like find out, like, why did that just happen? What's really going on? And if you're not afraid to stare yourself in the mirror and realize all is self, even when I want to point the finger, I may point the finger, but then I come home and be like, okay, well, where is that? Where am I still doing that? Or where am I still allowing that to be part of my life? then you will, again, that plasma, that photon light particle, soul essence will come home and you'll rise, right? Then you're then able to live a life of love.
Mhm.
But if we're not, then we bind ourselves like anchors. The anchors hold you down and pinned you down into the lower world, into duality. And, there's essentially, for many people, you may be noticing a split. Like
Mhm.
you see like a bifurcation, and that could be a multi, not just a but like, for simple terms, a bifurcation of realities or different earths. Some people are choosing one way, and you may be choosing another, like the 5D lifestyle, good vibes. um, and you may be holding a witness and watching them. It's like you got a foot in both worlds. And we're going to see that for a while, I feel. And it's almost like some of us are like angels on the planet, and we're again witnessing and holding space, being compassionate. But this is the time to find what's true to you and be authentic about it, even if it means just holding space.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, if someone wants to access the Akashic Soul Pro app, they just would type that in their on their phone, uh, Android. I think you said
Yeah.
it's a free app, but
It's free
on
on the
iPhone,
it's free on the Android, but iPhone it's $9.99. Mm-hmm.
and that's just a one-time charge.
Just a one time. Yep. Yeah, we're still doing edits on that, so that's the way it's set
So,
right now.
were you how did the app come about? Was it a
Yeah.
download to create the app, and how long did it take you to create it?
Yeah. So from doing the center for 9 years here, we led ascension groups, ascension circles, which is for humanity, where we circle up in a council of 12, usually once a week. And we just deal with what humanity's, showing us within ourselves, and collectively, if there's something going on socially in the world. And we find out, where things began, and ask for a clearing and anything that needs to collapse in our psyche so that we can upgrade a new point of view. And so when we were doing that through the years, we actually started using like dry erase charts. And finally, I got a download, like you said, to go ahead and make it into an app. And sure enough, somebody was sent to me right away who could make apps, and I gave them all the formulas. But it's funny that we have the app, and if you do download it, you can do a session on yourself where you literally go through the 21 or 23 charts and have to kind of muscle test or use different type of clairaudience, clairsentience to figure out what details to check off on the app. Otherwise, you can push the automatic button, which is what I did, and it just will instantly generate all those details. And we weren't allowed to actually make the automatic button until enough people were trained on how to use it. And then once we got the green light after a few years of doing that, we were able to go to the automatic button. So it's been a completely guided from higher up intel to assist humanity, and I highly suggest it.
Yes, I love it. I've only did it you recommended that I do the automatic button before my plasma bed session and then after. Um,
Mhm.
so it was interesting, but it's all new to me, so I didn't know how to interpret all of that, but I didn't have the time to, like, read all the
Yeah,
things
yeah.
because I know there's instructions on there on how to use the app and more
Mhm.
explanations. So
Yeah.
that's so cool. So you've had that, and I don't is that the only Akashic Record app that's out there? Because when I looked it up, I didn't see anything else.
There's probably a few others, but it's definitely one of the, for me, it's got so much information in it, um, but pretty easily explained. So if someone really didn't know what one of the words was, you can click on it, and when you're doing a self session, it will give you a possible definition. But ultimately, you're going to want to tune in and see if that is the definition that's meant for you. Which, again, when you do this type of self, communication, you learn so much. We're also unique. So when you have that little bit of a guide with the app, it's going to help you ask these deeper questions and find jumps and healing for yourself. Yeah.
Mhm. You had a quote I like to ask my guests for a quote, and your quote was, "Your aura is your starship and medbed." So tell me a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah. So your aura, like I was saying earlier, is, truly your most amazing part of your makeup. And when you start to realize that yes, you have this physical body, but the energetics and the unseen version of the soul, that is the aura, has so much capability to it. And it's actually generating the reality we see in front of us. So it's it's got so much information that needs to be tapped into. And when you do that, you will start to realize that it's your own med bed. You can start, telling yourself before you go to bed that you want to heal something. You can lay down and take a nap. You can sit and meditate, but you can start to really give your aura instructions on, all the things we're talking about. So doing the app coupled with your communication to and telling your aura what you'd like to have done, and like I said, speaking it and already being done. So being grateful that, your pancreas is already working perfect is really important. And then seeing it working perfect, with your mind's eye. And then as far as a starship, meaning you can travel anywhere. You can literally, if you're a lucid dreamer or if you are a very active dreamer, you're going to see that your aura, the soul that you are, does travel and go to many places. You can do that sleeping or seemingly sleeping, or you can do it in your meditation. So understanding just how powerful your aura is, I think, going to be the next, if it's not already for a handful of the population, we're going to see more of that coming online, especially with the children. I work with the children once a week for years at different schools and different parks, and I really am being called to go yet to another level this coming school year, with creating a homeschool co-op in the area that's going to really dial in to these topics that the children are really calling for, not only for themselves but for their families to hear and be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I wanted to ask you about, you've written several books, but there's three, I guess the latest one, Quantum Soul Awakens. So tell us about that book and
Yes.
what we'll learn
I
by
love
reading that.
I love this book. It was channeled in just from my higher intelligence, but I get in a channeled state when I'm writing. And it really speaks to the new earth. It speaks to us living in wholeness, living in the ability to think coherent thoughts with love, heart and mind coherence, and have them instantly actualize. We are already and have already been projecting our reality, but we're going to start to see, in the new earth, again, just us being able to build out of ether, simply by meditating. It will, think apple, apple will arrive in people's hands. That's happened for many masters. I say many, but, seemingly, a very small population, but you can, tune in to like Babaji and different masters in our most recent history and learn, and their, autobiographies, like Autobiography of a Yogi, of the supernatural gifts that come about. But in our new earth, when with Quantum Soul Awakens, it really talks about like what that looks like in our daily life, in our home, eating meals, um, you know, does sex continue? All these different topics were channeled to me around what does the new earth look like. So I highly recommend it. It's a very high vibration text. It does do a lot of adjustments just having it in the field. It did a lot of adjustments to me in my house when I was writing it. And then the second half of it, I downloaded the new Reikis of light. So I've been also Reiki master for years. And I was shown that there's, all these new keys of light that are going to be coming in. And so I share about 13 Reikis in that book.
Cool. Now, the other book is the Quantum Akashic Records. So, what do you focus on in that book?
So that one really shows you how to use, how to do Akashic record readings for yourself and for others if you're interested in helping others. And it's also a journal style, so it does have some worksheets that you can go ahead and utilize in half the book to go ahead and do your Akashic records daily, and gives you good promptings so that you can, better understand it. It's really not that complex when you start to get into, self communication. But I do share with you more about, sometimes it can be a little complex when you get dimensions involved, and when you are working with not just this lifetime but other lifetimes, future lifetimes, parallel lifetimes. So that's just a nice book that gives you more of understanding about, what is the Akashic Records and how do you do them.
That would probably be a good accompaniment for the app,
Yeah,
I
for
would
sure.
imagine.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
third book, is the Quantum Interstellar Starship and Midbed Aura.
So that book really, it's more of an advanced Akashic Record book in the sense that it goes into more of the topics, complex topics that need to be cleared for self and humanity. Some of the dualistic, fear-based programming that's been on the earth for eons gets addressed. And I wasn't even allowed to, even type the words as they would come forward. I had to put dashes in them because I didn't want to further reprogram or uh, project infinitely from a binding. When you write things in books, they bind and they infinitely project into the reality, creating reality. So if we write about fear, we're also, creating more of it. So it's addressed in that way, kind of like a coded text, but it helps you understand what would be good for you to actually look at and address and ask within yourself if that should be cleared for yourself and your lineage, so that so you fully can step into the new earth, into the new projections of love. Because what we had spoke about earlier, Leslie, is that, kind of the weeble wobble of one foot in one world and one foot in the other. It only takes one thought of fear, that all of a sudden, a beautiful landscape or like a wonderful gathering can go low. And, when you start to clean up your own inner world of your thoughts and these old programs that are on repeat because you're just used to wiring that nerve pattern in your brain, um, then once you clean it up, you're going to start to project a new world, and you'll be a space holder for those who are still working through it. So that's just a great book that dives way deep into those type of programs, and also starts to get you ready for the Quantum Soul Awakens, understanding the new Earth. Yeah.
Love that. Now you were talking about binding. So when you write something, you're binding it. What
Yeah.
about creation of videos? Is it the
Yeah.
same kind of concept?
Yeah. So being as mindful as I can about what I'm, stating. I had to, over the last couple of years, my consciousness guided me to delete tons of videos, even books that I've written. I wasn't allowed to publish. I tried to publish them in spirit, in my dream time. I'm a lucid dreamer most of my life, and I get most of my downloads in dream time. I dream the future every day. And so I was shown like, no, delete that one book that you just published that you were sitting, because I was sitting on tons of books. I didn't know how to self-publish back in the day, because I was speaking, I was going to be further recreating the fear by writing these problems in the book. So I try to remind us all, like I said, with the app, when you're writing your intention, try to speak it or write it in a way of it's already done, the wish fulfilled. And like the Gospel of Thomas talks about. And that way you really are projecting infinitely. With the app, it deletes. It's already programmed that when you write that and you push the delete button or the clear button, that I've asked, that source consciousness, please make sure that's dissolved and infinitely. But for as far as like journals, I really like to remind people that, you're writing in your journals, our old way of writing in the journals of our woes and our sadness, you know, I highly suggest you take those to the fire,
Mm.
and pull your essence from them first, and anyone else's that you wrote about. And that way you're not infinitely projecting that in the reality. I had just a few months ago, Spirit guided me from a dream that I needed to get rid of a journal that I had. And I didn't know I even had it. So I was guided when I woke up where it was. And sure enough, there's that journal. And I opened the page as I'm going to the fire. We have a fire pit in our backyard. And I'm literally looking at, as I open the flip turn to the page, it's the exact same day of years ago of the exact same problem that had just happened. So I literally was showing myself that that was infinitely binding the same thing to happen again and again and again at the same year, same time next year. And so it's once you start understanding the way this reality is created, you become more mindful.
Well, but for journaling, though, for me, a lot of times it helps me process whatever the emotions are, figure that out. So, is there a
Yeah.
better way to process our emotions or to figure out what's going on besides
Yeah.
journaling? Or are you
No.
saying
No.
burn
I'm
it
saying,
if it's negative?
well, I would either say several things. One, ask within, my consciousness, should I just command, that this is no longer ever going to happen again? That's being more super conscious. Can I dissolve it and recode it that it actually is all love light and it infinitely produces love light no matter what I wrote on here? I've written that in one of my books as a kind of disclaimer that this book will only do this. Um, you could ask within it, would it be best I burn this? But I hear you. I'm a journaler my whole life, and that definitely was the way I processed as well. A lot of emotions, and really got to the root to even see, what was going on. I needed like a sounding board by writing it out. Um, but from now understanding the way the reality is created infinitely, from what we write, it infinitely projects itself out, and it creates more and more and more of that. And so, I would suggest, how could you maybe process it more internally and then write, I am so grateful that now everything always works out for me and my lover, or my partner, or my family's, so you what you do write is more of what you want to infinitely project into the reality creation.
So, if you wrote about your feelings, so saying you're in a funk and I'm in a funk and I'm trying to figure out why I'm in a funk and all of that, and then switch it into the affirmation of what it is that you want, does that negate the processing prior?
No, it wouldn't. It would actually, like I was saying, make sure you process it, so do it more within. So maybe you could sit in a meditative space with your journal and say, my conscious, ask more internal questions or out loud, what's really going on? I feel horrible, you know, whatever you would have written down, still process it, with
But don't
yourself.
write it down.
But don't write it down unless you want to
Ah,
do something
okay.
with it, because you're
Okay, like
binding
burn
it
it.
and you're writing it. And that's the way all of this is made. We make maps by making signposts. We believe everything is where it's at because we make a map, a blueprint. And so all these books, this was also a big high calling when I was, we just closed down the dome in Crystal Beach a couple years ago, and Spirit was like, okay, now I need you to write books. And I'm like, okay, let me figure out how to write or how to publish books. And as I was doing these books, my download came in. Look, we need you to clean up these little libraries in the parks and neighborhoods, because there's just like not for the highest good content in these book nooks for these children to be seeing, and it's like crazy. And so we need you to repopulate the living love light into the libraries and be a living love light librarian. And I'm okay. And so they're like, we need new children's books, we need new book content. And that became part of the mission of all these books being published or being created, was to repopulate and bring about this, what we're talking about, like understanding that what we write is, and can we write light, and can we write love, you know
Mhm.
yeah.
So better to process within meditation like that, but don't necessarily write it out because you're
Right.
perpetuating it. But write down what it is that you want to create.
Yeah. And if your process, if you get a high yes from within yourself that you writing it and then burning it, awesome. Because sometimes there is there's some kind of release that happens when you get that pen to the paper. Um, I I even find that sometimes I may do finger painting or art, paint it out to kind of get that release to happen, or I might dance or sing or something. But yeah, the binding, especially in four corners, it's bound by the square, and then by writing it's infinitely being held in the Akash. And so we don't want to keep that stuff.
Right.
We want to let it go. That's part of the ascension. A lot of times people will come here and they'll get a guidance that they need to give away all their things and travel across country in an RV. I've had so many people come here and do that, or they leave their shoes. Or I've had so many shoes and left here, and people are free. They're um, or they get a guide. They're going to go home and get rid of all their journals, and they're going to declutter, because it's you're lightening the load in your aura so that you can rise and vibrate higher, so that your Taurus can be more buoyant, and you can start to do all your supernatural skills like levitation, teleportation, bilocation, which we do practice that once a month on Wednesdays. We just had that last night. We did practice seeing with our eyes, without our eyes. But yeah,
So have you
so
levitated?
I have levitated. I've levitated objects. Yeah, I've
Oh.
done 3 different times levitating objects along ley lines.
Oh, very cool. And
And
what
my
about
daughter has
teleportation? Oh, sorry?
teleportation. Yeah, so my daughter has as well. She was probably like 7, and I had just levitated a rock, and she's like, "You didn't do that," and I'm like, "Okay." And then something was on. I was watching a YouTube, and it was talking all about levitation. I'm like, listen, it's even synchronizing. We're listening about it. And then I turn and I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden she levitated the rock across the table, and
Wow.
I'm like, you just did it. Oh no, I didn't. So anyways,
How
the
far did
apple
it
doesn't.
go?
It just lifted off the table and slid across. Yeah,
Oh.
for her
Yeah.
rock. Mine went across the floor.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
we
cool.
we're diving back into that again, the practice within community,
Mhm.
and like it's about the practice. We have to
Mhm.
come into practice and see and realize it's not so abnormal once
Mhm.
we again can witness with each other and come into practice. Everything is possible. We've just really not put ourselves in positions to believe it and allow ourselves to practice together.
And what about the teleportation? Have you done that?
So, teleportation by location, essentially, when you understand, that you can be omnipresent, you can be everywhere at once. You can utilize rising your frequency, getting very coherent in your field, and especially with the plasma med bed. Dan Winter and Paul Harris created the plasma med bed. And Dan Winter, if you watch him on YouTube, he's talked a lot about some of the occurrences. He's seen people who've used Theraphi, do teleportation, and acknowledging even where their brain waves were at. One guy, he had a Muse headset, so he could actually see the brain going from alpha to theta, so that he could teleport and teleport to. I think he teleported to a friend's bedroom. But for myself, again, it's like the practice that we've played with is doing that, like going somewhere we know that maybe somebody could see us and tell us that they saw us. Um,
Wow.
and for me, my skills are very online, in the sense that I can remote view and see places. And I've had many people tell me, I just saw you in California or Colorado. I'm like, yeah, maybe.
How cool. So would you say that you live in 5D all the time, or do you have one foot in the 3D and one foot in the 5D?
Having a child grounded me, and I'm definitely in both, in all of it. But I do find that when I'm in the seemingly what we call the lower frequency or lower world, I'm holding a witness as much as I can, holding space. But definitely in family, I'm still working on the checks and balances of mastering, being in family and holding that space, especially when your daughter's a teenager and heading into that kind of realm. But as far as like the majority of my life, I've always had or most of the time, my 20s and beyond, have had a center to be able to do what we're talking about, and live in this higher space that maybe Jesus and the Essenes would have been living a lifestyle. Obviously a center is a building, so I'm not out in the woods, but I have been out in the woods with different communities and living this lifestyle where we're at now. It's like I'm so grateful for where we are now, because it's becoming mainstream, and it's time for this to be the norm. And I do tell people get ahead of it, in the sense, get ahead of it in your day and your morning meditations, your walks that you're taking, and before you go to bed, like, visualize the way you want your world to be. Feel, put your hand on your thymus gland and smile and visualize, the best next day, or the, if it's in the rising when you're getting up, visualize that the day is going to be amazing. Your body works great, and that getting ahead of it, of getting moving through the world when you're sitting still, you're literally setting up a blueprint from those visuals. And then when you get up from your meditation or your dream time, you are walking into that which you just projected. And that's that getting ahead of it. And the more we do that for ourselves, our family, and for our world, we're going to see, it quicken for yourself, because each being is projecting their own creation of reality. Yes, it seems like we're all having similar experiences when you've got, like, maybe a storm coming through. Well, everybody just saw that. Well, not everybody experiences it the same way. So whether that's a metaphor, of a storm of their life, or, but we just have to realize, the more of us that are getting into this super conscious awakening of the eternal soul that you are, and why you came here at this special time, to be in such a, like you said, like, we have so much to be grateful for. We have so many freedoms, and that freedom, how are you using it? Are you seeing all your brothers and sisters free? Then you're like an invitation for humanity, by you projecting and seeing all beings as souls. That's the first thing you could do. Like, everybody's a soul. Then every time you go to the grocery store, you've got, like, souls around you, not personalities. You've got people smiling and, helping each other, and magic happening. Whereas if you don't, and you're coming into your day or your world or the grocery store low, then that projection of the reality will match that same resonant match, and everybody's, whatever, piss, they're not in that beautiful state. I won't even say it. Delete. That's one thing I like to do, is say delete. In my family, we all say delete if we accidentally say something we don't want to infinitely project.
The one I learned was cancel, cancel.
Yes,
So if I have a
cancel.
negative thought or something, cancel, cancel, and then rephrase it in a positive of what I
Yes,
want. So
absolutely.
yeah, that's so cool that there's so many different. We're learning how to do this as
Yes.
as a collective, and I think they said it only takes like 10% of the population to make that change. So
Huge.
it's
Such a,
doable
it's
and it's
doable,
powerful.
and we're there right now.
Hmm.
And we let each other say cancel, cancel, so it's becoming it's part of our culture now, to be in wanting, and to know that this is possible, that we actually are able to hold space for each other to say these new things and be these new ways. It's huge. It's bringing up one more thing that I wanted to say. Like, there's sometimes my daughter will say, well, you're lying, you don't really, not everything is peaceful and happy. If I'm wanting to, like, state the affirmation of, my pancreas works amazing, if that's, just since I've been using that example today, that's for somebody on here. um but, you know it's reminding yourself you're not necessarily lying. It's just you're learning how to create reality. And so, reminding each other that there's that, what I just said, make sure you check that belief system, make sure there's not, like, um you know inner conflict around doing this. Make sure you understand what I'm getting at. And, yeah. So I just feel like that needs to be said.
Okay. So I love to ask my guests, what's their, and in your case, what's your favorite way to raise your vibration?
Meditating out in nature, for sure.
Awesome.
Meditating in
And that,
nature, you get right tapped into that longitudinal wave of wholeness, perfection. And, you're on the the grid of the earth, and so it's assisting you, it's grounding your body. And when you meditate, you're rising the energy up your spine. So you got both directions taken care of. You're grounded, yet you're rising. And you're going to just naturally be moving from that still point, that ease of the peace that you receive from meditating, for sure.
love it. Now, I understand you're going to France and doing some work there, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so I recently invited to go at the end of September, the 19th to the 23rd, to the south of France for Dan Winter and Tufan conference on spirituality and alchemy. And I'm going to be talking about the ensoulment, how to the preservation of the soul and being ensouled, kind of the things I've talked about today, and how I've been working with children and doing that, and then doing soul work with people, grid work with the earth, and groups to help facilitate us all being ensouled, dealing with, what's left over in the akash that's keeping us in fear. Because when we're in fear, we're definitely not ensouled fully. We're kind of kinking up and squeezing our energy up. So, the practices, the simple practices of breathing and of earthing, as the more complex, sometimes looking at our deep records that need to be cleared. So I'll be talking about that for my lecture, and then I'll also be facilitating with the Theraphi, doing cranial sacral therapy.
That's so cool. I did have a question about
Yeah,
the Theraphi bed. The
yeah,
is it something that a person can purchase and then have in their home?
absolutely. Yeah, we
And
we we facilitate sharing those. We have the Theraphi that you could purchase. And then we also have a smaller unit called the Quantify, which is a little bit smaller tubes, and it's about a third of the cost. But you are the smaller tubes. You're able to program specific frequencies, like right frequencies, and really target areas of the body that may need a specific hertz. And then the Therapy is more comprehensive. It actually, covers the full perfected balance of frequencies that are needed up your spine. So it's
okay.
either
And
one
what's
is. Go ahead.
what's the cost of each one? Just
So
curious.
the Therapy is 30,000 and the Quantify is 6,000. Yeah,
Wow.
and
Very
they both can condition your space, your room. So like each time we turn on the Quantify or the Therapy, we're building plasma in the room. It actually becomes conscious. So we call our plasma that we're building, miracles. And so like you can communicate with that consciousness of the plasma that's being built. They Dan likes to say it's like your pet puppy. People who are really happy and joyful and are seeking balance, usually that plasma will go run over to them. And if people are kind of walking into the center and they're angry, it kind of steers away. So the plasma does like to be around other coherent, loving energies. So they do remind you that if you do use it, that come when you're ready to feel good and you're ready for like a lift. And of course, you can process on it, but it's not a come to place to get angry at. I would more have you, come in the the therapy room and do some cranial sacral or soul work and process through those emotions before you get on the bed.
okay. But I understand that you have a 15-minute complimentary Therafied plasma med bed session that people can come to your center in Palm Harbor and actually try it the bed for 15 minutes,
Yes.
right?
And yeah, they can schedule that. We, recommend that you give us a call or you email for that session. If you went on the website, it's going to have you go ahead and, put a payment in. But we definitely, if you're local or in the Tampa Bay area, please come try it. And like you did, Leslie, if you're at a distance, let's set you up at a distance because it's powerful. We're dealing
Yes.
with really, really amazing technologies here right now.
And I've got on the screen your email, r3miraclecenter at gmail.com, or we've got your phone number here too, 727-221-7564.
Okay.
So if people want to schedule their complimentary session and check out this plasma med bed, I would definitely recommend it. I'm very intrigued by the session, and I had such a good experience with it. Also, recommend that people check out your website, um, which is r3miracles.com. You have all kinds of things on there, and I actually could share. And I know we're going long, but I'm just loving this information. Let's see, where do I share it? Share screen.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different technologies on there that most of our we do have you opportunity to use them in the center, but some we don't actually have here, but they're on the website. And we're really, always seeking to find if there's any additional technologies, as well as we're really inviting us to invent them. We just had an inventors retreat here last
Oh,
month
wow.
for people to spend an intensive couple days getting sessions and dialing into what they can invent for the new world,
Right.
or really pull through, because all that information is just waiting for us to remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you've got EMF protection, wellness blankets, and the
Yes.
tensor rings.
This
Wow.
is the wellness blanket. It's made of palladium, what the astronaut suits are made of. So it's reverse aging, and it also blocks EMF. It feels amazing. You can charge it up in the sunlight every few months or in the med bed if you have one. But this is palladium. It's on the periodic table, and so it's like an element that literally is. Holding light and then again blocking any kind of EMF. But some people, there's like a really long research paper I can send to people of all these different ailments in hospitals that they use them in, like Japan and Germany, of things that it's assisted with. But some people, even with like anxiety, they might like wrap themselves in the blanket just to kind of clear their field. I actually have one on my bed. I sleep on top of it, but we also put it on people in the Theraphi because it heightens the ability of nascent hydrogen to be produced in the body when you put the palladium blanket with the Theraphi.
Wow. So you've got a whole little, I want to say, playroom of
It
different
is.
kinds of energy techniques and tools. And oh, next time I come to Florida, which would be later this year, let's see, I may be there in September, but you might be away. If not, like
Someone
December,
will be
I'm
here.
gonna
Yeah.
check things out. Yes, I'm gonna check things out, and
Good.
yeah, very exciting stuff. So, Elasa, thank you so much for this interview. I just before we go, I want to ask, do you have any final words to share with our audience?
Yeah, just this is such a great time to be here right now. And, I really ask us all to ask that question, like, why am I here? And are you doing the things that you are meant to do here? And it's sometimes it's not a specific thing. Sometimes it's just to be loving in every now moment that you possibly can. That may mean compassionate or holding space. I'm just excited for us to ask that question and to start slowing down and living that life. So thank you so much, Leslie, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Elasa. It was great. And I look forward to seeing you in person.
Yeah, good.
So take care and thank
Thank
you.
you.
Well, that was Elasa Tiernan, and what a great interview. So I'll be actually editing this down and it'll become a Good Vibes TV episode. So check that out. That'll be coming up in a few weeks. All right. Well, back to the show. We still have a little bit more to go here on the Good Vibes Lifestyle. I love to do an oracle of the month. And this month's oracle is, let me put it up on the screen here, The Guides of the Hidden Realms Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. And so this is a brand new deck, 44 card deck, and I'll show you in the box. The inside of the box, she has a couple of words. And so here it says, Welcome, seeker, to this exploration of the hidden realms, your destiny and yourself. And the other part of the box says, Accept the sacred partnership of the guides and awaken more awaken to more than you ever thought possible, your true path, your purpose, your power, and your potential. And so I wanted to, because this is a new month, I love to feature a different oracle deck every month. And I wanted to share a little bit about her intention of this oracle deck. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the guidebook that comes with the cards. She says, imagine myths and legends speak of powerful, otherworldly beings acting as our trusted allies. Since the beginning of time, they've lived along humanity in the hidden realms, another dimension, separated from ours by only a thin etheric veil. They have many names and many forms. Some call them angels, fairies, or nature spirits. These magical beings walk between the worlds and sometimes openly beside us. They have always served us as trusted navigators across the bridge between the realms of the mystical and ordinary realities. So, kind of the 5D and the 3D. These guides knew that all things that manifested on the earth plane were first conceived in the realm of the unseen infinite. Their gift was to help humanity direct our life force energy to create the most powerful and beneficial realities according to the order and higher dream of the divine. With the advent of materialism and technology, they withdrew and faded from our lives and memories. But now, as our world has become increasingly out of balance and in need of redirection, we begin to hear the whispering of the guides' ancient wisdom again. When we accept this sacred partnership, we discover our inner magic and strengthen our relationship to the divine intelligence of the conscious universe. So, with the help of this oracle, you'll awaken to so much more than you ever thought possible, your true path, your purpose, your power, and your potential. Uh, the guides you meet act as sacred intermediaries between you and the divine, aiding in aiding an intimate, dynamic, personal dialogue. The cards are navigational tools to ensure you don't get lost in the chaos of life as you manifest your most beautiful, fulfilling destiny. Welcome, Seeker, to this exploration of the hidden realms, your destiny, and yourself. And I like in here, she had a simple prayer to use before you do an oracle. And so I will read this before I shuffle these cards. And it says, thank you, Spirit, for all you have given me and for the guidance I'm about to receive for my life. Let your light shine into my life. Show me your truth and nothing but. Blessed be, and so it is. So I will shuffle these cards and ask for a message from Spirit for all of us who are watching right now, live or on the replay anytime in the future, because as we know, there is no time and space. Uh, it's all happening right now. So, Spirit, what message do you have for us? Okay. And the card is number 35, open mindedness. Well, okay, this and that are true. And it says open mindedness, perspective, nuance, and complexity. So let's see what this card is all about. The key concepts: open mindedness, perspective, making space for multiple points of view, nuance and complexity, meeting in the middle, the effects of tunnel vision. Within you are all manner of contradictions. You are not just one thing, you are both and lit up, hidden in shadow, happy and grieving, free, confined, elated, dejected, effervescent, dull, and so on. The world is similarly full of complexity, with so many opposing perspectives that appears that no one agrees on on an objective reality at all. It's essential to remain open minded and receptive to learning before dismissing others as foolish or worse, dangerous. If you allow yourself to listen deeply without judgment, you will understand that many opposing ideas and opinions can coexist simultaneously and be correct and true from their standpoint of the experiencer. The situation is not a time for choosing sides, but for cooperation. Can you reach across the chasm and find a mutually beneficial solution? Even conflicting creative concepts can be made into something innocent, into something innovative and special. Be a builder of bridges rather than barriers. Open minded collaboration, exploration, and experimentation are called for here. And I'll read the reverse. Even though we didn't pull in reverse, sometimes you can get some information that may resonate. So, reverse, there's a compelling beauty when considering opposites. Instead of seeing one side as the other, see both in unity, yin and yang, up and down, day and night. Each one, each one part of the unified whole. Issues arise when you refuse to see the other as divine, as right and worthy, because you have no understanding of who or what they are. You might be afraid to look or too sure of yourself to be open to learn something new. Right now, you're invited to consider another point of view. Could this information help you step into a new version of what you thought could never change? Can you hold space for both and? There is perfection and equal purpose in both perspectives. Elements of the old will stand beside elements of the new, and this pivot of perspective will serve to widen your container of abundance in ways you could never imagine. Can this and also that be true? Yes. So that kind of fits a little bit with what we were talking about, the idea of the 3D being duality, the two, and then the 5G, which is more oneness and wholeness. So this and that are true. And it makes me think too of what the United States is meant to be, a blending, a respect for different perspectives. The idea of democracy and conversation and coming, everyone coming from different places, but coming and creating something new and beautiful where everyone can meet their full potential. This is the ideal, I think, that this nation was based on. So, there you have it. This and that are true. It depends on the experiencer. All right. So that was a message for the day. Did you resonate? And if so, uh, put it in the comments. And if you like this deck or any of the books and things that I mentioned, just go to good-vibes.tv and you'll be able to go to my Amazon store. All right. So every week, I love to talk about ways to raise your vibration. I give you a little tip, a practical way you can raise your vibration. And last week's tip was to bless your water before you drink it. Alasa was talking earlier about structured water. We're 70% plus made of water. Water holds intelligence, and healthy structured water uh, can be created with the different techniques and tools she has, but by blessing your water with love or Reiki or whatever way you like to do it, praying over it, visualizing light from your heart to the water and drinking it. Ho'oponopono your water, which is a specific Hawaiian prayer we've talked about in previous weeks. But bless your water before you drink it. If you did this, let me know. And did you notice it tastes different? Did you feel different after drinking it? I know that I do when I bless my water before I drink it. So, and this week's tip of the week is to practice self nurturing. In lieu of this new moon in Cancer, which is all about self nurturing and nurturing others, our home, uh, tip is to practice self nurturing in whatever way you do it. Whether you sign up for a complimentary plasma medbed session with Elasa in person, or you can do it long distance, um, or going to get your nails done at the salon, or going and taking a walk in nature or by a river, um, getting a massage. Any of these things are great ways to uh, practice self nurturing. So that is the tip of the week. And when you nurture yourself, you raise your vibration. All right. And other little things you can do: journaling, bubble bath, reading a book, going to a beach, a forest, or a mountain. So, those are all different ways you can raise your vibration. And that's the tip for the week. So, I know this is a little long today. Um, but I hope you found some good information. And I want to wish you a happy 4th of July. Be safe, enjoy, celebrate, and remember to live the good vibes lifestyle, which is living in 5D, really. So Thank you again for watching, everyone, and just have a blessed day and week. And I will see you next week on Thursday. Take care, everyone. Peace out.